Alright guys, today, new engine day. I just want to take this opportunity again to mention this is not a proper lifting device, but it's what I had, so it's what I used. Proper thing would be any sort of chain or lifting harness. They have cradles, like a diaper sort of thing. Put it onto the engine and you lift it up. Those are the proper things to use. This can be dangerous and should not be used. So today is second new engine day. We're gonna put head gaskets on this. We're gonna try to re-gasket this, reseal it, timing belt, the timing gear, all of it. I'm gonna throw it all together and I'm gonna try to show you how to take your measurements, how to, follow torque specs, things like that. Things like this, which I'll show you later. The people that I mentioned beforehand were a little bit aggressive, I think, when removing it, because there's some broken things. But that happens, it's a recycled engine. That's what you get what you pay for. So let's get started. Okay, so first things first, whenever you get a new engine, you wanna just try to go through some checks to make sure that it's actually a decent engine. That's how you find broken things. I've literally just noticed right now another broken thing on another engine. I hope that is not going to be too big a deal, but it's there. It's something you need to be aware of before you start putting in all this work and investing all this money into something. You want to make sure that it's not dead. I'll show you that in a moment. First thing you want to check is just make sure it actually rotates freely. So grab yourself a 1/2-inch ratchet and whatever size bolt is inside your crank pulley. This happens to be a 22 millimeter, so we're gonna grab a 22 socket, put it on a 1/2-inch breaker bar, and it should turn very freely at this point. It shouldn't take much effort at all. There are no heads on it, with no valves, so there should not be any compression. There's really nothing to slow it down and get in the way of friction, aside from if there was a problem with the rotating assembly or just gunk inside the actual cylinders, which you'd easily be able to see that. Just make sure it spins, you don't hear any weird noises. You're gonna hear some rubbing noises, obviously, because there's metal rotating against metal and there hasn't been oil in this engine in God knows how long. And you have, in this case, I did not take the flywheel off, so the flywheel is also rotating, so that's might rub against something. So if you hear a noise, don't necessarily think that it's broken, try to inspect it, see where it's coming from. Another thing you want to look for, if you plan on reusing whatever sort of timing gear is on there, you want to make sure that they rotate smoothly, that there's no binding or looseness. They should rotate smooth, but they should have some amount of friction behind them. You shouldn't like spin it and just see it continuing to spin, because that generally means that it's been worn out. It should have some friction behind it. Now, this is something I'm probably going to replace. This seal I just popped back in, so I'm not sure what kind of life this has had. I don't know if someone has damaged that or hit that. I don't know if you can tell. They clearly just broke off the timing cover. For all I know, they could have hit it right there, damaged this pulley. This is not really something you want to take a risk with, especially like this. That looks to me like someone just put a pry bar here and pried right on that pulley and damage that. And this looks like where they broke the timing cover, they may have broken it from up here. I'll show you that in a second. Actually, you know what? I'll just show you that right now. Right here, it looks like they may have shattered the casing that was a threaded hole for a bolt for the timing cover, and they just broke that right off. So it's stuff like that you want to take a look for, keep an eye out for, because it's a recycled engine, and like I said before, you get what you pay for. So that's the top side. Before you flip an engine over, good idea to have something underneath it to catch whatever fluids are going to pour out of it. So put something under there. Pull the pin. just a loose bolt fell out of there. That's pretty cool. This, by the way, is why you want to have something under there. Looked like a pretty fresh, dried up engine, but you never know. So under here you want to take a look at things like the oil pan that's obviously, in this case, been pretty deformed. It's been dropped on it, it's probably been shipped on it. Generally you can count on that when you buy an engine from a scrapyard. Things like this shield, that can be bent back if you so please. You obviously could replace it if that's something that concerns you. Obviously damage things like an oil filter. Not necessarily important for the oil filter, but it is important to get an idea of how the engine was treated at the scrapyard. Things like that, and things like this, to me, looks like when they were pulling it out, they might have hit the body, or just aggressively pulled on something and ripped these hoses. Again, just things to look out for before you put an engine together and start spraying fluid all around. So now we have a better idea, and now we can get to actually making a list of things that we need to get replaced. So let's do that. Alright, so I've finished with my inspection of my engine. I have the list of things that I need to get replaced. I'll head out at the end of the night and collect those things. Get started on those the next time I come back to this engine. For now, I wanted to show you how to prep a block, a deck, if you will, for a head gasket and a head, how to clean this up, on how to check your heads to make sure that you're not putting bad heads, or doing your best to make sure you're not putting bad heads on. I happen to know mine ran before with no head gasket leaking, but I want to show you guys how to check it out anyway. And most importantly, how to clean these up. Now I understand the great temptation there is to use one of these to clean the mating surface. I cannot urge you enough to try to not use these, especially on such an important sealing surface like a head gasket. But especially on aluminum to aluminum, metal to metal mating surfaces like upper body oil pans have those sometimes. Water pumps, you don't want to be sanding at the back of a water pump and have it. You don't want to leave grooves in it that are going to let fluid pass underneath the gasket or a sealing surface material. A really good way to clean a mating surface is getting a sanding block or even just a small block of wood and some Scotch-Brite pads. You don't want to use them too much like this one, because as soon as you start to get into some of these areas and this starts to break apart, you're letting the abrasive material fall down inside the engine, and you just don't want to be filling your engine with abrasive material. So try to keep a fresh pad handy for whenever you start to wear through this pad. And a good way to check and make sure you're doing a good job is to spray a little brake clean on the mating surface, or even on a rag and wipe it on the mating surface. It'll make whatever remaining gasket material is left on the mating surface show up better. It'll kind of dampen it a little bit so it gets darker, obviously, and the metal isn't going to get any darker, so it's gonna stick out more by contrast. On top of that, you're also cleaning up the work that you've just done, so you're not smearing oils all around. So when you put a gasket on, you don't risk not having a perfect seal. So you just want to make sure you're doing your best to do it right the first way, especially if it's a customer's car. You don't want to be messing that up. So I wanted to mention that the same sort of process goes for the cylinder heads as well. While cleaning the first cylinder head, I noticed something that I wanted to show you guys that you should also be looking out for. Right here, in this back corner, there's a little bit of pitting. Just small little divots in the metal itself. Now, I've heard that can be caused from not changing out your coolant. I don't know how true that is, but it is something to look out for. So this right here is what I'm referring to. See these shallow grooves? The small divots in the head? That is what you're looking for. Now, like I said, I have been told that that can be caused by electrolysis. When you don't replace the coolant in your engine enough, it starts to carry an electric charge, and that eats away at aluminum. Again, that's what I'm told. I don't know if it's true. All I know is that's something you have to look out for, and you should change your coolant. Anyway, I'm gonna finish cleaning that one up and then move on to the next head. You guys aren't going to believe this. So this is my second engine that I've got from this recycling yard, which is very difficult for me to not throw under the bus right now. I'm not sure what happened, but it looks to me that this bolt hole right here that peeks into the cooling jacket still had a bolt in it when they tried to pull a head off. You look from the top, you can see it's kind of oblong. If you look really close, if I can try to get in there, you can see that it's cracked as well. So here's the thing, right? I can't put this together with any sort of clear conscience about it. It's very hard for me to not throw the company under the bus, but I'm not gonna do that. I don't wanna be trashing anyone or ruining any reputations. For all I know, maybe I'm just the unlucky guy that got 2 bad things in a row from them. For those of you who don't remember, on the first engine I got, the oil filter housing was snapped clean off and then actually JB welded back onto the block. You can see it in one of the first videos I made about stripping the old engine out of the car down, and I went to clean up the other engine and then found out that one was broken as well. And again, I don't want to blame the company, but it looked a lot like the JB weld was very fresh. Could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. At this point, I'm just gonna put this on hold and try to figure out a different plan. Try to figure out something better. You know, I have the freedom to change this project. I have this freedom to not rely on this right now. So I'm gonna probably look at something different to do. We're still gonna swap a different engine in. Keep an eye out for that. We're gonna keep pushing along. It's just a road bump. It happens, and it's not worth getting upset over. It's just something to figure out. All right, so that's it. I'm calling it, guys. I hope to see you next episode. That's all I got. So I wanted to mention, oops, that recording helps make a video. Oops. Well, now you're super recording.